Djidi Aboriginal School, nestled just outside of Bunbury, has been quietly and successfully balancing the education of Noongar kids whilst instilling pride in their culture and identity for over 20 years. Last year they celebrated not only their 20th anniversary, but also their most promising academic results to date. Principal Tegan Davis has been a crucial part of achieving these results and knows the school inside and out.
The best way that I can describe Djidi is as a really dynamic and vibrant learning environment.
It's all of this and more. It's one of the few dedicated Aboriginal schools in the country. It's one of only 26 schools in the state that teach Indigenous languages, and it's proving that Indigenous kids can meet and beat the expectations placed on them. Women's footy is one of the fastest growing sports in the world. Now, the South West Footy League has as many as 9 women's teams set to compete next year, in a competition expected to revitalise the league.
We think we can generate a fair bit of interest in the South West with the ladies' competition and hopefully help clubs financially and get people more at the clubs.
It's been actually exciting for a lot of girls, and a lot of them are anticipating to play AFL.
Tricia Lake has played in the Women's League in Perth for 6 years and played in the WA State Women's win against Victoria last year. She can't wait for the local comp to start.
Having a league down in the southwest is obviously a great opportunity for the girls down here, and I mean they don't have to travel up to Perth just to continue playing the sport they love.
Michelle Harris has coached women's leagues at local and state levels, as well as the Busselton Colts last season. She hopes the new comp will help local players be drafted into the AFL's National League.
It'll be fantastic to see some girls, given the pathway that they have now, come through and have the opportunity to be drafted at an AFL level.
Jacob Higgins, GWN7 News.
But before we get into the meat of this episode, sure. I also have a disclaimer.
Go on.
Not something we'll say every podcast though, is that this podcast, like we said, it's going to be about our mental health, and specifically it's going to be probably more about our experience with mental health than, because we're not, I'm sure if you've listened to this podcast before, you know we're not experts by any means on any subject, let alone this one. So nothing we say here is going to be like a cure-all or some kind of like pathway for you to take necessarily, because this is probably like the most varied experience that you can have.
So I suppose if any of this resonates with you, or even if you like have the slightest inkling that you might not be okay, then like just hit someone up. Like there's online chats now for it and stuff as well.
Yeah.
For those of us like myself who don't like phone calls, you don't need to call up a hotline. You just send an email or an IM.
Just DM someone on Twitter. There's definitely services that you can get in touch with.
Yeah, we'll put a bunch of links in the show notes.
Yeah, for sure. Talk to someone. That's always the best method, but it's hard to do that for sure. But there's definitely a stigma that can arise in yourself too. Because I remember when I started feeling like this, I had like a very like prideful reaction to it, where I was very much like, I think I might be having trouble here, but you know what? I can deal with it. I reckon I can do well in school. I can do what I want to do and deal with this myself. So I was like, I'll hold off. I won't tell anyone or whatever. We told each other pretty like earlier on than we probably did like in terms of actual like institutional or familial help or something like that. But yeah, I definitely had an attitude towards it where I was like, nah, I'll deal with this myself.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really help.
No,
it doesn't really work.
I got to a stage, it was probably over 12 or 18 months, like accumulating in about a 3-month stretch.
Yeah.
Where nothing Marie Kondo. Nothing was giving me joy. Like sure. All the things that I had been doing, like I'd grown up playing basketball from when I was, 9. It wasn't the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some of the warning signs, and these are generic, but these couple were specific to me.
Yeah.
Like my grades went down.
Yeah.
Only a handful of people know this, but I was like borderline dropping out of uni.
Yeah.
Which for most people who knew my reputation at the time was like, would surprise many of them.
And it tends to affect, obviously, in ways that are not super obvious, but are obvious to you in a certain way, like your grades. Like we wrote down as well, weight.
I put on like 30 to 40 kilos over this period as well, which is like, I'm down now to about 120.
Yeah,
but
I was losing weight.
I was up at like 130, 135, which is significant weight to put on over an 18-month period.
For sure.
The whole thing of suicidal thoughts comes up. It was always an iffy thing for me because I didn't have the feeling of wanting to, hurt myself or.
Yeah, I think we've both been pretty blessed in not having like any inclination towards self-harm in like traditional ways.
Yeah. But at the same time, I had this thought process of, I was having thoughts of, like, would anyone care / notice if I wasn't around, that sort of stuff.
And there's still like a logical part of you that would be like, well, yes, because you know you have friends, you know your family, but at the same time,
and, why would they, and all the rest of it.
It does become pretty easy to undermine that.
Yeah.
I want to kind of reiterate here, not to lessen our points about it, but not wanting to do something about it is super common.
Oh,
and it's a really hard thing to do. Like, I think we can both, because of our experiences and the time we've suffered with this, we can both be like, well, I wish I'd done something sooner.
100%.
And that's 100% advice we would give. But at the same time, you're not like weak or bad for not wanting to get help, because it is tough to admit and it's tough to get help depending on your situation too. So, yeah. But yeah, talking to my therapist is definitely the point where I was like, okay, I'm taking, like, you feel like you're taking a real step there.
Yeah.
And that's something that's really tough with like mental illness because of, again, self-hatred, that type of thing, because you can really easily spiral into a point where everything you do, you think makes you worse. You know what I mean? And especially when you get into the habits like you were talking about, I've experienced similar things where weight gain and you start to go out less, you start to contribute less to society generally. Like uni, especially for me as well, where I just like wag entire weeks of uni and not go because I was like, oh, well, what's the point? And that, even though you feel almost like a pressure to go to that stuff and you feel slightly relieved when you don't. Yeah. When you don't go, it's so much easier just to be like, you suck. Like, why did you do this? You're making it worse, et cetera, et cetera. It just makes it worse. Yeah. So it can feel like short-term relaxing almost, but it for sure long-term is harmful. I can attest to that.